12 or at 1-877-866-1764 today.
Today?
Today.
What's the number? I didn't write it down.
702-408-2412 or 1-877-866-1764. Call today.
You got it. Welcome back to Vegas Unwrapped. And now, by the way, gentlemen, we are on a camera. Webcam is on, and so we're looking good. Welcome back. Vegas Unwrapped, a very special edition. Aaron Phillips, Ricky Cash, and I think everybody's nameplates are still out, so you can figure out who's who by watching on the webcam.
And here's a young Frank Colada,
yes, there
right?
you go. Welcome back. All right, we left off with Dennis Griffin as the last gentleman that we want to talk to, and really, Dennis, we want to thank you for helping us put tonight's event together, because you've done, over the years, a lot of work with these gentlemen, writing books, getting into what you do. Talk about your experiences with these men, and why becoming such a historian of the mob history in Las Vegas became so important to pen some of these books.
Well, I got to thank Dennis Arnoldy to a great degree for this. When I wrote The Battle for Las Vegas, I wanted to cover the Tony Spilatro era, and I was put in touch with Dennis, and we had never met before. We talked a couple of times on the phone. I told him what I was doing. Of course, he didn't know who I was or anything. And eventually, he agreed to help me out with some information about the Spilatro investigations. And we developed a rapport, and then he hooked me up with some of the other FBI agents, and there were several of them who were involved in this. Dennis was one of many who were involved in this operation against Tony Spilatro. So, and through that, my one difficulty I had was I didn't have a mobster. And most of the hole-in-the-wall gang were either dead, in prison, or whereabouts unknown. So when the book was at the printers, I said, if I could ever get a hold of a mobster to talk about this era, I'd like to do that. And it never dawned on me that perhaps because of what the question you asked about your former adversaries now becoming,
right,
teammates. But Dennis said one day, he said, "How would you like to talk to Frank Colada?" I said, "Wow." I said, "Really?" I said, "Where's he?" I said, "How do you get a hold of him?" He said, "Well, Frank and I," have maintained contact over the years. He says, "And we have a good relationship. We're friends." So he made the offer, and I got to talk to Frank by phone for a few minutes, and that interested me in his life story. And I mentioned Dennis. I said, "Next time you're talking to Frank, ask him if he's ever thought about doing a bio." It turned out that Frank had thought about it, and he had a lot of information already preserved in transcripts. So we got together and decided to do Colada. And what I really enjoyed about that was it gave me both sides of the perspective, the law enforcement, and now from Frank's perspective. And for me, it was like a chess match, learning what each side was thinking, why they did the things they did. And very informative and very much fun to write. And in fact, I told Frank, I told my wife, when that book was almost finished, I said, if we don't sell a copy of this book, I said, I'll never regret the time I spent doing the research and talking to the people involved. I said, they can never take that away from me. Mm-hmm. And it was certainly a fun time and a very entertaining time for me as a mob enthusiast.
Now, one thing that I did not recall reading in your bio was what you did before you started writing to make your perspective of writing these books even more intriguing.
I was in law enforcement investigations in New York State, and my law enforcement was a deputy sheriff's thing. I was never an organized crime investigator. Mm-hmm. And when I did other investigations for state government, it was primarily white-collar crime. But I always followed organized crime. And I just loved investigative stuff, mm-hmm. Trying to find out who did it, why they did it, and so on and so forth.
The whodunit.
Whodunit. And that's why talking to these guys was so much fun for me and so entertaining for me and so informative. It was really enjoyable. And I got to tell you a little story when I was doing Frank's book. Frank, at the time, security was an issue, and to get a hold of Frank, I had to go through Dennis, and then Dennis would get Frank a message, and Frank would call me, and so on. And it was a cumbersome arrangement. And I told Frank one day, I said, "Frank, we really need to get together. I said, I got a lot of questions I need answered because I'm kind of stuck. I can't really go forward until I get some more information. So we agreed that Frank would take a trip into Las Vegas, and we decided to do it at my place because we'd have privacy and we could spend all the time we wanted to talk. And my wife, the bear, had been opposed to me getting involved in another mob book to begin with. And
she shakes her head in the background, by the way. I just want to let the audience know the bear is here.
So we hung up the phone, and I told Barry, I said, guess who's coming to dinner? She said, who? And I said, Frank Colada. She said, not in my house, he's not. So the day Frank shows up, Frank comes in one door, and her and the dog go out the other. But after a while, Frank would call, and Bear would answer the phone and tell me it was Frank on the line. And that was working out okay. And then all of a sudden, I'm starting to think Bear's talking to her girlfriends because, she answers the phone, giggle, and, oh, no kidding. Oh, God, that's so funny, and blah, blah, blah. And I figure it's not for me. I go back to doing what I'm doing. All of a sudden, about 20 minutes later, Denny, Frank, do you want to talk to him? So that whole arrangement evolved very positively. And then, because of Frank's book, Andrew found out about me and reached out to me through a third party on the internet, through an email. And he had seen that I had worked with Frank, witness protection situation, so that he felt he could probably work with me also.
Mm-hmm. Now, I have a question for you on this, Denny. Is it true or not true that when you first talked to both Andrew and Frank, they wanted you to go to dinner with them at Tony Roma's, but you said you didn't want to go out that door. There's a little something about the parking lot. Any truth to that story, or is that off the record here?
That's off the record.
Okay, all right. Phillips, let's give Denny a plug because he does a great weekly crime show on the internet.
Blog Talk
Radio. Mm-hmm. It's called Crime Wire. It's every Tuesday night at 6 p.m.
6 Pacific.
6 Pacific. And we had the opportunity this week to be on, again, this has been a big week for us, with him on Monday night special that he did. And, Denny is keeping not only the story of the mob and law enforcement in the written book, but also right on the front pages of our community with the library project and now with the Mob Museum. Denny's a pretty cool guy for us to hang out with.
Well, and we want to thank Jay Rankin for that, the author of Under the Neon Sky, Las Vegas Doorman Story, who put us in touch with Dennis.
Right.
And we're very sorry, these guys down there can't hold their beer apparently anymore.
That's all right.
Can we have the childproof bottles, please?
That's all right. This is fun.
This is good.
Where's the barkeep? Where's the barkeep? Get the barkeep while we go earlier.
But Denny is somebody that also has his tentacles out into the entertainment field as well. Mm-hmm. And keep an eye out on future Vegas Unwrapped shows for more stuff that will be generated through Denny.
Okay.
We were talking to Dennis about law enforcement and Frank and of course Andrew. We're looking forward to continuing along this line.
Absolutely.
Great stuff.
Is it okay if I ask you a question?
Yeah, please. Sure. Absolutely.
We were talking about the movies, the Goodfellas and Casino and so on. And I'd like to ask Dennis, actually. In the movie Casino, it was basically told from the perspective of De Niro as Lefty Rosenthal, Pesci as Tony Spilatro. And the couple
nice Jewish boy that made good in Vegas.
A couple of the scenes I recall where law enforcement was shown. One was the local police, and they basically killed a guy who was carrying a submarine sandwich or something. Right. They shot him down and then planted a gun on him. The other one was the FBI surveillance plane that ran out of gas over the golf course by De Niro's house and had to make an emergency landing. And then Tony and his golfing buddies were seeing who could hit the downed plane with a golf ball. So
very funny scene.
So law enforcement was basically portrayed as buffoons or corrupt criminals. Dennis, do you know if there was any feeling from guys like agents who watched that movie was there any think that maybe the law enforcement didn't get a real good shake?
If there was, I don't know about it. No one's ever said that to me. Those things did occur, of course.
Yeah.
We probably had a bigger laugh about the airplane than the bad guys did, actually, because we knew the pilots. What was the other part of it?
The other one was the locals about the Bluestein shooting.
Yeah, that was before I came here. But I know both the police officers and a fine gentleman. But that never really was particularly discussed the way it appeared in the movie. I thought they did a pretty good job in the movie, if you want the truth of the matter.
Okay.
And there was a scene or two in there when we conducted a search and when we got arrested the guys doing Berthas, although it wasn't played up too much in the movie, but I don't know where they were coming from. It's Hollywood.
Okay.
There was a question you asked last night about, or somebody asked, or maybe it was one of the audience questions about the spoof movies, and I think, Craig, you talked about the Steve Martin movie last night about one of My Blue Heaven, but there was one that Cash and I were laughing about, Johnny Dangerously, with Joe Piscopo.
Yeah,
and his brother run up.
Right,
Michael
exactly.
Keaton was in that one. I'm surprised that one didn't come up because that's one where the law enforcement side was brought up as a buffoonery because it was the brother. It was two brothers on opposite ends of the law, and they were going at it in Michael Keaton and Joe Piscopo. That was another one, too, about how both sides were sort of brought up in that ha-ha genre.
Right.
So
right, exactly.
that was a great – and I was thinking about that, and you're right. I mean, Steve Martin in that particular role –
To me, it just wasn't. I don't know. A lot of people liked the movie; they thought it was funny. But well, I'm not going to get into it.
almost as bad as
who it was that said it to me.
Right.
But anyway, so I personally, I like to see films about mob guys. Mm-hmm. If they're going to be portraying Italians, be an authentic Italian.
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't cast Steve Martin as an Italian wise guy. To me, personally, that's just my own personal opinion.
Sure.
I just wasn't thrilled with the casting in that.
When we talked about movies last night, I'm surprised that nobody mentioned Donnie Brasco, because that's another story about a mob guy, right, that flipped. And
Stone.
He was an FBI.
no, the FBI. I'm sorry, the FBI guy that infiltrated the mob. But he did. I mean, that's what I wanted to ask Henry. Did you know the guy? Did you know him? Okay.
He did a very fine job. He really did. It was very difficult on him.
But he thought he was an actual white guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he got so brainwashed with that lifestyle and addicted to that lifestyle.
And that's not an uncommon thing. You have to be very careful when you put people undercover, because life can be pretty, life can be pretty good or a little different. You have to be very careful. Used to be a policy in the FBI to only allow us so long.
Exactly.
The only problem is these guys were doing such a good job.
They couldn't pull him out.
You couldn't pull them out. And who's this recent fellow?
Garcia.
Yeah, Garcia.
Yeah.
Now Jack Garcia,
Obviously
he's
doing
an
a wonderful
exceptional
job.
story. I mean,
Wonderful job. Yeah.
I mean, he was so good in what he did that
Absolutely.
they were looking to straighten him out. They were proposing.
He was
him to
Cuban,
be-
wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was
Italian?
a Cuban. He wasn't
As a
Italian.
matter of fact, Jack's story is unique because I mean he was side by side with Greg De Palma for two and a half
something?
years, and
Amazing.
they never knew it.
Amazing. And another thing about him, he was working other undercover
At the same time.
At the same time.
Yeah.
He'd leave there, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And did a tremendous job.
He did.
Henry, could he have gotten by you? Would you have bought him?
I'll tell you what, I can't even. No, I mean, I got a not. I respect when you answer the question of the name.
First time Henry's pleaded the fifth in how many years?
I mean, the guy was good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And but that lifestyle caught up with him. It's such an addicting lifestyle that, I mean, the money and the power that you wield, whatever. I mean, it's not even power. It's brutality, basically. I mean, and it's just it's hard to withdraw from that.
Very, very difficult. Very, very difficult.
I mean, and the guy, and he was so good at his job that, I mean, the bosses in Washington started getting nervous. I mean, I know, so I spent some time with him.
Did you? It was a very, very difficult situation. Tremendously difficult.
Can you imagine? I mean, I couldn't even imagine.
There's a sad side to that too, because see, he was so good at his job, and these guys brought him in with the utmost trust. And after his job was complete, these guys were murdered for bringing him in.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part.
Very, very
the
difficult.
guys lost their lives because they believed in him so much. So there's a double-edged sword where he did what he was supposed to do, and it's commendable. I mean, let's face it, he put his life on the line every day so regular citizens like yourself can walk around and feel safe. And but the mob has its own laws and its own justice system. And these guys were held accountable for them bringing him into the fold, and a few guys lost their lives over it. In Jack Falcone's scenario, it wasn't the same. Nothing like that transpired. But in this case, I mean, Donnie Brasco did some job. I mean, he really did a number on the Bonanno family.
His real name was Joe Pistone,
Joe
right?
Pistone,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Did a fine job.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just want to remind our listening audience that they're listening to Vegas Unwrapped, a very special edition here on RadioZone1.com. Mob history yesterday and today. We are in the presence of those who lived it, was it, and we're here to share some stories in a very informal roundtable discussion. And the interaction, gentlemen, is just great to sit back and watch it happen, and we thank you for that. So just wanted to give a station ID so everybody remembers where we are.
No question
in case
about
we
it.
get lost. Don't worry about it. I have a question I want to throw out to the panel, and you guys just jump on it any way that you'd like to. You know, again, at the library last night, they talked about, you know, Hollywood portraying mob and law enforcement certain ways. What stereotypes, either specific or generally, that has been depicted to the public, would you like to take the opportunity to fix and say that's not right, or it could be better, it's almost right? Is there any stereotypes on either side of this story that, you know, that Hollywood has depicted that you look at and go, man, that's just garbage, and here's why? What would you fix about the stereotypes? Andrew, we'll start with
Because
you.
criminals come in all shapes and sizes, and every time I meet somebody for the first time, the first thing they say to me is, I would never have thought in a million years that you are who you are. I expected you to be older. I expected you to be some 300-pound guy in a sweatsuit walking through the door. You know, and basically, you know, and so there is a stereotype there. You know, people have this mindset of what they think a gangster's supposed to look like, appearance-wise. But, you know, criminals come in all shapes and sizes.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I think that is that's a stigma on organized crime. And then how they depict that most of the guys are dumb. Some of the most brilliant guys that walked the earth were mob bosses. These guys could have ran the most, you know, the biggest Fortune 500 companies in America.
Well, they made more money.
You know what I mean?
Than most of those
You know,
companies.
and they get depicted as idiots, and they're not. These guys are cunning, sharp, and, you know, they don't have the resources that these major businesses do, but they did it all from the street. So it shows you the intelligent level.
Absolutely.
Henry, anything come to mind stereotype-wise, or?
No, I mean, we should refer to each other as the collar and comb mob, you know, with the long collars.
Right.
And I mean, everybody, you know, knew who the fuck we. I mean, they know who we were. It's okay.
That's one.
This one, yeah.
The Americana.
You got 4 more, Henry. You're out of here.
No, seriously. I mean, they knew who we were when we walked in Vegas,
Right.
walked in the Caesars Palace. You got comp, you got, you know, private lines.
Right.
Yeah, that's stereotype, and you know, and if you was, you know, the crew I was with, I mean, you know, you got treated a different way.
Sure.
You know? I think they said in the movie, you know, rock stars with muscle.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. That's,
Movie. Let's clarify that. Movie stars with muscle. The rock stars can't compare to the movie stars. All right. Let's just stop right there.
whatever.
They can't compare to movie stars.
Henry, that was depicted so well in Goodfellas when your character, again played by Ray Liotta, makes his way through the back door of the Copacabana,
Absolutely.
and they put that table right up in front, and there's Bobby Vinton, and you know, I was thinking about that last night when they said, you know, what were some of the perks of and you said that last night, you got to meet everybody, all the big entertainers and stars. You could, everybody knew who you were without identifying who you were, if that makes any sense. So I think that's pretty interesting stuff.
Hang out with Sinatra on his yacht for the 4th of July weekend. These are things that to look back at it, I said, wow, I did those things. You know what I mean? I spent the 4th of July weekend on Sinatra's yacht.
Yeah, it can be mind blowing.
It is.
Did he book a bet with you? What, what was that deal all about? Come on, expound on that a little bit. With Sinatra, how did that happen? I want to hear this.
Yeah, really.
That's pretty interesting.
We was at Chili's.
Oh, Jilly Rizzo?
Chili's place, in the city. And
that's interesting to me. Huh? How hanging out with Sinatra, my God, it's amazing. Absolutely, no, absolutely.
A friend of ours.
Friend of ours.
Was the maitre d', and Joey was a good friend, and I was just the next table over to him.
Yeah.
He said, "Come on," he was with a bunch of chicks and guys, and
He was with guys too. He went both ways. Come on. What are you going? Where are you going with that?
No.
Come on, I want to know. I didn't know the guy.
4 tables in the back of Julie's. That's where.
Yeah.
And we're hanging out. He said, "Come on, let's go." He had his yacht bought up from California. I don't know how the fuck he got it.
Water in the deck.
Yeah. But he was a cool dude. He really was. He used to drink a little too much Jack. And do a few other things. But everybody did back in those days.
Henry, as a follow-up to the movie, I was pleasantly surprised to hear you say at the library last night that the movie was about 98 to 99% accurate of your life. Were you as surprised that the movie came out that close?
I believe it or not. I wasn't allowed on the set because there was like a price in my head at the time.
A liability issue.
Yeah, exactly.
$2 million they didn't want to come up with. So
Lords of London.
yeah, no, didn't want to even get near that one.
No, Warner Brothers couldn't even.
What were the odds on that? If you did show up on the set,
Some people think I was on
did
the
you
set.
book that? Did you get a piece of that action?
I got paid well.
So at 98, 99%, because listening to Frank's movie sounded like it was opposite.
Anything.
Right.
Yeah.
It was all there.
Sure.
Come on. Can you imagine sitting in the theater, and watching, your life portrayed on a silver screen? It was so surreal for me.
Right.
And today I still, I see it on television, every other week. It's weird. From where I came from,
Sure.
from the streets of Brooklyn.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know how many guys around that had the life portrayed in the movie.
Right, it's amazing. It is, and especially by those people. Scorsese, De Niro, come on, the top of their game, the best of the best.
It was surreal, the whole process.
How long did it take for the movie to be made from start to finish?
Nick got in touch with me about 81, 82, and the book came out in 86.
Okay.
And the movie was done, which is unbelievable. From the time Scorsese read the book, optioned the movie, it came out in 90.
Well, so almost 10 years from
But,
right.
So how many movies you know that could, from the...
You want to live? The first time I seen that movie, I seen it in prison. When I was locked up. I seen that movie in prison in the Italian American the Italian American organization when I was doing time upstate.
That's good.
They used to have a monthly movie for the Italian guys.
And that was it.
They had two fellas.
It's a multicultural jail.
They wanted to keep them.
No, each ethnic group had their own organization, and you would have fundraisers. And during these fundraisers, you'd be able to generate enough money so that you could have a special event once a month. And it keeps the guys calm. you know, and it
Oh,
pretty
yeah,
much
that's
worked.
a movie that calmed
And
me
when
down, ain't it?
But
Shit.
that's the first
It
time I
calmed
see
me
it.
down.
You know what I mean? But that's the first time I see it. I was in a kid.
There's a double feature for you,
Yeah,
right?
there you go,
Goodfellas
right?
and Casino.
It calmed them down.
Yeah, exactly. Especially Pesci and De Niro in the desert with F-bombs flying all over the place in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But no, it is
Wow,
interesting,
that's
and you know what?
funny.
It must be a surreal. Surreal is probably the best word, Henry, to describe that. To see it.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
And the job that they've done.
Right.
I mean, Marty, everything. And it was, he didn't embellish nothing. He didn't have to embellish anything.
It's become more than just a movie. I think it's really become a cult.
It has-
Oh, absolutely.
No question.
One of the greatest mob films of ever,
Yeah.
ever,
It's
ever.
That and The Godfather are
One and two.
are spoken in the same terminology as the two greatest, mob movies of all
From
time.
two different perspectives.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's really
We got a
interesting too.
television series coming out for next year or two, with Scorsese and Poggi.
Put my name in the hat, will you? You said I could play Tootie, right? Tootie? Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
I'm growing into Tootie as we speak. I'm doing my De Niro thing, gaining weight for the part.
Yes,
Right?
things happen that when you see the end result, you can't realize what's coming around, right?
the cycle has, went around. I'm blessed. I can't say no other words than that.
Dennis, did you have a question that you want to follow up with?
Yeah, well, it was a comment actually.
Okay.
Is what really surprised me about dealing with the mobsters. We got time?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
Okay. Was that to a lot of people that I know, including me, money has meaning. Okay, it's not monopoly money to me.
Right.
It's what you have to live on and pay your
Sure.
bills on. So when I talked to the mobsters who were pulling down scores, 50 grand here, 100 grand there, 20 grand here, it was more like monopoly money. I mean, money wasn't real to them in the sense they all wanted money.
Sure.
But it wasn't where you.
The value of it was
the
changed.
value was different. I told it last night. I'll tell it again. I love Henry's story about when they would make a big score, a big hijacking or something. They come to Vegas and have a little fun. And he said they'd maybe come out for 2 or 3 days. They'd start out on a winning streak. They'd extend it, and eventually they're broke. Mm-hmm. And I asked him. I said, "Wasn't it? Didn't you want to cry? I mean, you put in your time to." And do this score, and then you come out and you lose all the money. Henry says it would never bother us. And I said, how can that be? He said, well, when we got back home, instead of hijacking 1 truck a day, we'd hijack 2. So
That's how they make up the losses.
yeah, but that they didn't worry about it. I mean, nobody jumped off a building, that type
I
of thing.
think, Henry, I think my wife's favorite scene in Goodfellas is where your wife asks, she wants to go shopping, and you ask her how much does she want, and she says this much. It doesn't give you a number, just this much. Well, yeah, exactly. Maybe that's why my wife really likes that scene, because if she asks me, how much I give you, I got $20. Here you go. That's it.
All right, we're going to step aside for breaking the action. We come back on the other side. We're going to find out from Henry about that famous gun scene where his wife was straddling and had a little gun, and we'll talk to Andrew more about his book. You're listening to a very special edition of Vegas Unwrapped with Phillips and Cash, mob history yesterday and today. We'll be right back. Great book out there called Under the Neon Sky, a Las Vegas doorman story, authored by our friend Jay Rankin, after being the doorman at the MGM for 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah, you know what? Go to jayslasvegas.com. You can download Chapter 1 for free of the book. And trust me, when you read it, you're going to get hooked. By the way, Cash, do you know where they can get the book?
Amazon.
Barnes & Noble, and ebook applications. Visit www.jayslasvegas.com. Download Chapter 1 for free and enjoy. Whether you're 17 or 77, the most important product you have to sell is yourself. Tony Martini of Image Productions has 50 years' experience in teaching and training individuals the skills needed to improve their public speaking, posture for first impressions, and how to project to take control of a room. And at the end of the session, you actually get to take home a CD in order to monitor your progress. Give Image Productions a call today at 1-702-813-7888. Whether you're graduating high school, college, or you want to change professions, give Image Productions a call today, 702-813-7888. All right. Welcome back to Vegas Unwrapped.
I wish.
Hard cold.
I'm Aaron Phillips alongside Ricky Cash. No relation to Johnny Cash or any of their others, except not having any cash. That's about it. Very special Vegas Unwrapped tonight. Mob history yesterday and today.
Very casual.
Very, very casual
nice?
roundtable. Before we get back to talking to our guests, want to thank Dr. Danielle Buddha and the Chiropractic Healing Center. Full-service alternative healthcare facility dedicated to meeting the healthcare needs of you and your family. Dr. Buddha accepts most insurance companies, but also offers great cash prices as an alternative to making sure your health is taken care of. Dr. Buddha and her staff can also provide other services such as nutrition programs and massage therapy. They now offer a personalized exercise program, which you can access right on their website, which is www.chirohealing.com. Don't wait any longer to start getting healthy. Call Dr. Buddha at 702-215-2090. Her office is located at 7250 Peak Drive up in North Las Vegas. Call Dr. Buddha today, 215-2090. That's 215-2090.
Hey, Phillips, how about this? I wrote this especially for tonight.
You did?
Sure, you ready?
Yeah.
Paulie Walnuts.
Love it.
Al Capone.
No way.
Elliot Ness.
Them too?
And the Robert.
The Robert, where does he fit in?
Are they the next set of villains for Dick Tracy?
No, but they sound like our next guests on another Vegas Unwrapped maybe.
Nah, they're just a few of the great sandwiches available at Eddie D's famous Italian restaurant located on the corner of Cheyenne and Durango at the Albertson Shopping Center.
It's around my house.
Eddie D's has the freshest deli meats in Vegas.
No way.
He also has the #1 sandwich in Vegas, voted by the locals, the Robert.
Love it.
Have you had that, by the way?
A few times.
Are you kidding
I'm
me?
still having it.
It's a Thanksgiving meal and a sandwich. Hot turkey, hot stuffing, cranberry sauce, homemade gravy, and a touch of American cheese and additional flavor. If you guys stick around a little longer, maybe we'll order some in. You know? As I said, Eddie D's is located on the...
Do we have to pay for it?
Are you kidding me?
Get a comp?
Don't worry, we're getting
only in Vegas.
Yeah, really.
Eddie D's is located on the corner of Cheyenne and Durango and is open daily from 8 a.m. till, it's 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. and on Sundays until 6. Come in and be treated like La Familia.
Ooh.
Yeah. The number to call to talk out, to take out, delivery and catering is 702-541-8792. And coming soon, Eddie D's in Southwest Las Vegas at Rainbow and 215. Coming soon.
Absolutely.
I can't wait.
Coming soon to a theater near you.
It's
All right.
5 minutes from my house. I can't wait
Great.
to get to the Robert.
20 Roberts coming to Cash's house. All right, welcome back, Vegas Unwrapped. Aaron Phillips, Ricky Cash, joined by a cast of characters. We thank you for sticking out what has been a fun roundtable discussion on many topics.
Oh, you feel comfortable enough now to call them characters?
Did I say characters?
You sure the car is not running?
No,
Because
I don't know.
yeah, really. Good job.
Another scene that is always asked about, Henry, is the scene where your wife in the movie has had enough, straddles you as you wake up from a nap, and has that gun pistol staring you right in the eyeballs. Talk about that scene.
She was not too happy.
Yeah,
with
she
you.
was not happy.
No, she was like a, and her hand was shaking. I mean, when she cocked the thing, I was okay until she cocked it. Fucking 38.
That's two.
Two more.
All I can see is those copper, about 5 minutes.
Bullets.
Hollow points.
So when you saw the movie and you saw that scene again, did you have like deja vu? Did you say, "Oh no, this is not happening again"? I'm telling you.
Flashback. No.
Got to be careful when a woman's angry.
This one has no ego.
Oh.
And she was pretty upset with me.
To all the Jewish girls out there, don't do it that way. Interesting.
Maybe we get arrested.
Go ahead.
Right?
Take the next question.
Go.
Next, whatever.
Not a jury in the world would convict her either.
All right. Panel question again.
Panel question.
And this really to all of you. I mean, jump in and we'll start this way if need be. Knowing what you guys know about your life, whether on this side of the law, your side of the law.
Well, they're not on this side.
Well, yeah, but what they knew in the past.
Okay.
If we could jump in Doc Brown's DeLorean and go back 30 years, what would you say to your younger self? Who wants to start?
I'd say keep going.
Yeah?
Keep doing what I was doing.
Good job.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right.
Wouldn't change anything. Okay.
Nothing.
Craig?
Does that apply to me?
Sure.
Are we talking about the same?
Whatever.
What was the question?
If
I
you-
got
if-
so enthralled with what he was saying, I forgot.
If you could jump in Doc Brown's DeLorean and go back 20, 30 years.
See, I knew that was going to get.
He knew.
Yeah, right.
What would you say to your younger self 30 years ago,
Oh,
knowing what you know now?
get a more stable profession for sure. Absolutely. One that I could actually make some real money at. Not play money.
Gotcha. Henry?
I'm talking to the kids out there, stay in school, get out of it. If you're in a gang, get the hell out of the gang. Don't follow my footsteps. Please. I mean, it looks, if you think it looks cool, it's not fucking cool. You don't wind up dead or in prison for the rest of your life. Just, get an education, stay in school. Which,
Or if you do, become a government informant. Get out of it. So you can get a life like Henry. They'll make a book about you, make a movie, and you retire on an island in the Caribbean somewhere. Yeah, right? Perfect, isn't it? Look at the suite you got over here. Come on. This is a life. Come on, don't tell him that. Kids, follow in his footsteps because let me tell you, it's a great life. Come on, I'm joking. It's a joke, of course.
There's kids out there that
Of course, I know.
gangs, and you can't get out of those gangs.
No, I know.
Come on. I mean, Craig,
I'm joking, it's a joke.
I know it's a joke. But it ain't no joke for those kids.
Well, they should be smart. That's why they're in the gang, because they're not smart enough to figure out this is a joke. They, come on. If they're that stupid, they belong in the gang. They belong in jail, and they belong 6 feet under.
Actually, you know what?
You
Henry,
guys
you
are-
bring up a great point here, and that's something we were going to talk about a little bit later. Mafia or mob activity is not as prominent today in the news as much as gangs and gang-related activity and the drug cartels and all of that. Is that today's mafia?
I don't know. I mean,
That's not today's mafia. It's just a mindset. In certain areas throughout the country, they grow up with the gang mentality. It's accepted behavior from where they grow up, like organized crime is accepted where we were, and they just, I can't speak for all the kids out there, but most of them come from homes, either broken homes or homes where the supervision is very low. They gravitate towards their friends. They get accepted from their friends. They adopt these people as their new family, and then they get associated with these people and they start doing bad things, and that's what happens.
We watch a lot of on A&E. They have a show called Gangland, and every one of the ones that I've seen, Phillips, the Gangland has used the model of organized crime, of the organized crime that we're talking about tonight, to build their organization. And some of these gangs of today are so powerful that they have to rival the organized crime that was back, 10, 20, 30 years ago. And it's as scary to the people of today as it was back then.
Well, basically, it's because, like even organized crime family, all we were is a sophisticated gang. That's all it comes down to. That
Right.
we were a little bit more disciplined.
Yeah, but the gangs today,
Yeah.
the gangs today.
Right on. Right on.
We were first.
In country terrorists.
Yeah, but the gangs today are going randomly. You guys didn't go randomly
No.
kill people just for a
No,
rep
I'm just
or
saying
whatever.
The mindset, we were basically just a more sophisticated gang where we had more rules, more control. How can I say it? Different fiber, but still it was a gang.
Right.
It was a gang.
Yeah, but I think they're more
different values.
aren't they more ruthless now? I mean,
Yeah,
with
because
these,
you know what?
they're like they
Violence-
have no respect,
They
no
come
fear,
from an
nothing.
area
For
where
nothing.
violence is the only thing that people respect. They're not going to respect
Right.
what you say.
Right.
They're going
Right.
to respect what you can do. Because where they come from, what you could do means more than what you can say.
I think what's scary these days for law enforcement, and Dennis, both Dennises that come out of law enforcement, would it not be fair to say that the scariest thing is the numbers that they have to go against now, the law enforcement? Because some of these gangs have, thousands and thousands of members all over the country.
The Bloods, the Crips. I'm just talking about a couple of segments of gangs, from L.A. And they're here in L.A.
They're-
They're in Vegas.
They're everywhere. Is it presenting to law enforcement the same type of problem, or is it a different type of problem that has to be handled the same way?
The FBI has such squads, and so does the locals have squads, and gang squads for each ethnic. The Russians, the Mexicans, the Albanians, and blah blah blah. The Italians.
Let's jump right in.
I'd like to ask a question about that. Now, you take today, you can read in the newspaper, here on the TV news, all too frequently that some gangbangers knocked over a convenience store gas station. In some cases, they kill a couple of people, the clerk and a customer or something, and they get away with $20. I mean, $20, you can't even buy a carton of cigarettes today on $20. I'm just thinking, would the crews you guys were involved in, would the Vario crews have killed a couple of people for a $20 bill?
No,
or
I think not. I think not, Denny.
Not at all.
No, we went after insurance companies. We walked every airline that comes to this country.
But you guys went after big money. I mean, you didn't just go out and kill
There was
people.
a movie I seen when I was a kid with James Cagney, Never Steal Anything Small. That was one of his lines in the movie. I don't know if anybody knows who James Cagney was.
Oh, I do. Absolutely. He was one of the great little gangsters of all times.
Dennis, you knew Elliot Ness, right?
I knew Helen.
Right. Oh, here we go. Here we go. And of course, he knew Dewey.
James Cagney, George Rath. Those were the guys.
Edward G. Robinson.
Yeah, exactly.
Those were
Those were the guys.
terrific
Little
I-
Caesar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They're not mentioned much anymore today because people forget the history on those guys. Absolutely.
Some good gangster movies.
Yeah, those,
Hey,
those.
bro, look at me now.
That's
I'm
it.
top
On
of
top of the world. That's right. That's right.
Get out of my face, Screw. I'll spit in your ass.
George Raft. Are you kidding me with the spats with the white shoes? Great stuff.
Public Enemy #1.
That's right.
Yes.
Cagney.
Tremendous movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't that the one where he stands on the top of the building at the
Yeah,
end?
wow.
I'm top of the world.
So his mother down in the wheelchair down the
Yeah. Classic one was White Heat.
White
Heat,
Heat.
yeah.
The guy's
White
in the
Heat.
car. The guy says, "Let me out, Cody. I need some air. You want some air? I'll give you some air." Start throwing the holes in the trunk. That was classic.
He got a whole different kind of air there, didn't he?
Some hair.
So your quest to come around to you, Andrew.
Right.
Same question. If you could go back 30 years to your younger self, what
30
would you
years
say?
to my younger self, I said, "Listen, don't go out tomorrow. You're gonna get locked up. Spend a weekend at home. Come out on Monday." No, but basically, I would definitely, knowing what I know now, I would definitely sit my dumb ass down and read myself the riot act and walk me through it step by step. And of course, what happens is, the bad part about it is that even if you're going back in time to try to change something, most of the time you have to go, how they say, the trial by fire.
Mm-hmm.
You have to experience the burn before you realize, that you made a mistake. And I was one of those kids. I thought I was a part of something greater, and I would have had to walk through the fire to really feel it, like I did. I took the bumps and the bruises, and I realized that I was throwing my life away. And but I would try to speak to me in better terms, knowing what I know now for sure. And I think kids who look at me when I try to speak to them, they can respect it because I've been through it. But still, a lot of those kids, they don't believe it. Like, they always think they're going to be the exception. I thought I was going to be the exception, So they look at you and, like, they respect you because they know you've been through it. But some of those kids really, they still need to, you ever see that commercial with the Butterfinger? Bart Simpson, he keeps grabbing it, ow, 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 keep, until he learns the lesson.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. And some of these kids, they need to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
And it's a shame.
When I had the opportunity to attend the first library session back on the 4th, I made a comment to you, because you were the only one on the panel that night, that morally speaking, obviously you knew that the crimes that you were committing and were involved with were morally wrong.
Yeah,
we
sure,
talked
of
about
course.
that. I think the thing that's impressed me the most, and now after hearing Frank last night and a little bit tonight, and Henry as well with the first time, one of the things that I've been very impressed with is the remorsefulness that is coming out for that past life.
Yeah.
I mean, am I wrong on that? I mean,
No, you're not wrong at all, because, back then, you knew you were doing wrong. But we were brainwashed as kids that we were justified in our actions. We got the right of way. This is our life. Everybody else is blind. We're justified in our actions.
It was a subculture. It was a subculture that you was born into as a kid.
Yeah.
And everything was completely opposite of normality. In my life.
but it was your normal as far as you knew.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And and I can see these kids today. Who do they idolize? The guys with the Maseratis and,
Right.
and the Bentleys in the neighborhood. These gangbangers and whatever. I mean, and it was the same way. I mean, back in my day, they had Cadillacs and Lincolns, and
Right.
Chrysler Beetle. But it's a sad situation. You go into a neighborhood, the old hood, the ghetto or whatever we used to call it. I don't know what we used to call it. But these kids, these are the. I mean, I looked up to these guys. They were the role models in my neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the guys with the yachts down in Sheepshead Bay, and and the Cadillacs and the bimbos on each arm, and the same thing happens today.
See, you've seen that, but
You know what I mean?
you didn't see the
These
price
kids
they
are-
had to pay.
Sure.
So you don't see that part. See, they never tell you what's going to happen to those guys down the line. But, once you're in this life, you're on an oxygen tank. Because from that moment on, slowly but surely, that oxygen starts to run out, and your luck starts to run out. Because like anything else, if you're out committing crimes every day, it's only a matter of time before you're going to jail. I mean, basically, it's part of the business. You're going to be... I woke up in the morning, I committed felonies, I went to sleep planning a felony. I mean, that's the way my life was. And, Henry hit it on the head. We looked up to these guys, but you never seen the full repercussions of what their actions were going to bring. All you seen was the glamour, the glitz, the girls, the money, this, that. You didn't see the price that was going to have to be paid.
We were talking about movies, obviously, because it's something where the people have learned about the mob over the years. And what we're talking about now has never been better depicted in a movie like A Bronx Tale. Right? Because in A Bronx Tale...
Yeah, that was another great movie.
Yeah,
I like Bronx Tale.
I was just
absolutely.
thinking about that because I don't know if any of you guys know that the young man that plays the young man in that movie just got sentenced to 30 years in prison for being involved in a murder type conspiracy thing,
Right.
but not the point that I wanted to bring up. The point is that movie tried to show, with De Niro playing his dad,
That was the first movie
that was the movie that tried to show that, hey, this is really not the life. It may look glamorous, but when you dig a little, as into the subculture, as Henry said, it's not all that good.
Your
And,
father's the tough guy. I'm the tough
father
guy. He
was
kept
the
saying,
tough guy.
I have
I'm
to
the
get up
tough
in the
guy.
morning, go to work,
Yeah.
and drive this bus, and
And
I'm
yet-
the tough guy. These guys
And yet-
which really hit a
And yet the
strong note.
flashing of the cash, and again,
absolutely.
the
Absolutely.
camaraderie of the guys standing on the corner.
Right.
But I was thinking, and nobody's mentioned that movie, and that
That
was
still goes on today.
Yeah.
You go into any rural neighborhood.
Right.
I don't care if it's Vegas, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, or bumfuck Egypt. You know,
6.
Where was that in Egypt? I've never been there. I want to go.
I don't know what's funnier, almost a spit take or.
No, we know. I used to say that as a kid too. Bumfuck Egypt.
That's one for you.
Thank you. I
That's
get 3 more.
But the point is well taken, because and I know the answer, but it's just not going to happen because it's all about parenting, and having parents around.
I
that's
understand what you're saying, but here's how I see it. I see it as that you can teach your kids great values, respect, all of the above, and you have to throw in, you got to pray for a little luck as well.
Good luck,
because when they're faced with certain challenges in their lives, you got to hope that they act accordingly. And you got to sit there and cross your fingers that what you instilled in them is going to be enough to get them through. But basically, they're going to have to make that decision. And
Especially if you're capatus.
yeah.
You got a hard head. You got to
Oh,
you got
without
to
a
keep
doubt,
pounding it in their head.
And I was one of those kids that had a head like granite. Test the daughter, you know what I mean? So,
Test the door?
test the daughter.
Oh,
means
thank you.
hothead.
Oh,
And
In Barres, it's capatus.
yeah,
Capatus.
and that's what happens. You just you gotta sometimes you just gotta learn the hard way, and it's a shame because some of these kids you see they're throwing their lives away. And I was away my first bid. I went to a place in upstate New York was all young kids. And all these young kids had 60 years, 70 years. The kid's 17 years old. He's got 60 years to do. How are you going to rationalize with a 17-year-old kid with 60 years to do? He hasn't even fathomed yet.
It's a waste of life.
No, it's a waste of life. He hasn't even fathomed how much time he's got to do yet. So to him, it's all fun and games right now. But it's going to catch up to him. 10 years in, he's going to realize. 15 years in, and it's going to be heartbreaking. 20 years in, this kid might be looking for a rope.
Well, they become institutionalized, and they become part of the
Yeah.
system. And I mean, I don't know because I don't know what you
It's
do
sad
about
because
it.
there's no answer, there's no remedy, there's no specific recipe to stop it. You get
How
some
did you
kid-
guys get through it when you were incarcerated?
Well, as far as incarceration, I was around a lot of guys from my neighborhood who also were in there. So we were relying on each other. We were very, we were a minority in there. But we were, relying on each other. And we helped each other along the way. Our families would come on visits together. We would stick together night and day. And it
for
got us-
safety purposes
Well,
too?
because you stood with your own. That's the way
Okay.
it is in jail. If there's any lessons to learn in jail, you'll learn racism runs rampant in prison.
Okay.
Because you'll see it when you go to the yard. You have white guys stay with the white guys, black guys stay with the black guys, and you see it like that. You don't. I didn't make the rules. These are the rules there when you walk in. You walk in the wrong spot in a state prison, they'll tell you, you belong over there, buddy. And so basically these are the things you pick up along the way. But we stuck together because you're a minority in a place, and when things get bad, you have to have those friendships. But for anything else, and some people are stronger than others. You just have to. One guy asked me, he goes, "How'd you do all that time?" I didn't volunteer. I had to do it. There's no way to get around
It was
it.
in community service.
No, it's like the judge
Get a
says,
pass at 6 o'clock at night, go home, come back at 8.
I used to tease the guard when he used to pass by his house. I go, "Hey," I said, "I gotta get." He said, "What do you want?" I said, "Do me a favor. I'm gonna give you a phone number. It's my mother's house. You call, you tell her I'm sorry. Come get me. I'm ready to go."
Hello,
You know,
mother.
you're sick, man. I used to bring chops like crazy because that's people live, as they say, to have some fun in prison, and they say, "Well, fun in prison," but that kept you normal. That kept you sane. If you didn't laugh and you walked around a miserable all day, after a while you're gonna want to, hang yourself.
How many years were you?
I did 11 years.
11.
Well, basically in and out like that, almost,
Henry?
a little less.
I did 14 years behind the walls.
In one stretch?
No, I mean in my lifetime. I mean, the best years of my life. Really, they were the best years of my life. My 30s.
How about Frank? Do you know?
40s.
Frank, what did he do?
Well, he did.
Where is Frank, by the way? What happened? Is he all right?
Yeah.
Where'd he go?
He's making a deal to pay for the show tonight. What are you kidding me?
He's negotiating on behalf of Vegas Unwrapped.
There you go.
I think when we did the book, I think he had the longest single stretch he had, I think, was 6 years.
I did 6.
But he had several others, you know, a year here, 2 years there. I think he had about 15 or so in.
And you don't
total.
get that back. You know, you don't get that back. You lose that time forever. Like Henry said, it's the best years
Best
of your
years of
life.
his life.
I went away.
I got a college degree. I was dyslexic. I didn't have a high school diploma when I went to prison. I come out with a 2-year associate degree in restaurant hotel management and nutrition. I mean, I put my time pretty good. And besides, I had it made, you know what I mean, because I was with the wise guys, the good fellas, or whatever you want to call them, you know. But, I mean, I couldn't read a book before I went to prison. I was reading 4 books and 5 books a month, you know, in prison. And,
I actually got a text from a listener from Australia. Okay? So we know we're staying international. And here's the question, and you guys answered as a panel question. The crimes that you committed previously, given today's law enforcement technology, go ahead.
you can never get away. I mean, today
It won't be worth it.
would you have done the same crimes? And you answered the question.
well, I mean, you know, I mean, I never robbed from a small guy. We only robbed from insurance
Right.
companies, and you know, we didn't rob from. We never sold anything small, micro anyway.
Right.
Is what I was with, and. rephrase the question.
Well, just given the law enforcement,
Here, have another.
no. Given the law enforcement tech,
Hundreds of millions of dollars,
yeah, but the technology today,
but you couldn't get away.
you couldn't get away with it.
Absolutely.
Right. So what differences would there be then, given the technology, with some of the crimes that you guys committed, would you have to change?
Well, you know, see, that's just it. You hit it right on the head. See, organized crime morphosizes itself. It's constantly changing with the times. So what was prevalent for me in my era or prevalent for Henry in his era doesn't necessarily maybe work today. So whoever's around today, they grew up in an era where, you know, staying on a computer all day long, hacking into people's bank accounts, identity theft, everything like that. That's what you're going to see, because that's what they know. This is what these kids were brought up. You know, that this was their how can I say it? Their education.
Trial by fire.
Yeah, exactly. So this is how these kids operate today. You know, you're not going to see guys in the street shaking down people anymore. You're not going to see shakedowns like that unless they shake down behind the scenes, or you're going to see a lot of white-collar crimes and stuff like that. It's got to change. In order for them to survive, they got to change. But they will change to survive. They will change. You know, and there'll always be crime. As long as there's money in this world, there's always going to be organized crime.
No.
I've been informed by our engineer that we need to just take one final break before we wrap up with one final segment. This will be
A lot of rules around here.
well, listen, I got bills to pay. You know, what can I tell you? But believe it or not, people actually paid to make sure we got the show on the air. So, no, believe it or not, they did. I know.
They didn't pay enough.
Well, that's a different story.
See, you can say, talk to Dennis.
That's Dennis.
I mean, you know, we got
All he
Dennis.
said is we would intro it and
We
host
got,
it.
we got Dennis to con you into coming on here, you know.
All right, you're listening to a very special Vegas Unwrapped edition, Mob History, yesterday and today. We'll be back right after a quick timeout to wrap up what's been a great show. Stay right there.
Dennis has got to work.
Whether you're 17 or 77, the most important product you have to sell is yourself. Tony Martini of Image Productions has 50 years experience in teaching and training individuals the skills needed to improve their public speaking, posture for first impressions, and how to project to take control of a room. And at the end of the session, you actually get to take home a CD in order to monitor your progress. Give Image Productions a call today at 1-702-813-7888. Whether you're graduating high school, college, or you want to change professions, give Image Productions a call today, 702-813-7888.
Hi, this is Ricky Cash from Vegas Unwrapped, along with my partner,
Aaron Phillips and the beauty, Heather Cornell.
every Wednesday night on Radio Zone 1 between
8 and 10 p.m. Pacific, we are Vegas Unwrapped on RadioZone1.com.
Not Just Strippers.
I'm gonna love you like nobody's loved you. Come rain or come shine. High as a mountain, deep as a river. Come rain or come shine. I guess when you met me, it was just one of those things. But don't you ever bet me, 'cause I'm gonna be true if you let me. You're gonna love me like nobody's loved me. Come rain or come shine. We're gonna be happy together, unhappy together, and won't it be fine? Days may be cloudy or sunny. We'll be in or out of the money. But I'm with you, baby. I'm with you, rain or shine. Days may be cloudy or sunny. We'll be in or out of the money. But I'm with you always. I'm with you, rain or shine. I love you, rain or shine. I love you, rain or shine.
For Dennis?
Yeah, we're gonna take good care of things.
I think he's going to take care of us.
I hope so.
All right, welcome back to Vegas Unwrapped, a special edition mob history yesterday and today. A few of our panel had to take care of some urgent matters, and we thank you for sticking with us. Cash, before we go back to wrapping up, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
You want to go over some good pizza?
I am starving after this.
I know. I have found a place, Mark Rich's New York Pizza Pasta. They have 2 locations, you know.
All right, where are they?
Well,
Because I'm ready to go.
The first one is at, the original one is at Centennial Center, 7930 West Tropical Parkway, and the other one is
That's
the
way up in northwest Las Vegas.
closest to me, by the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so let's go there. It's easier for me. The newest location is at 1170 West Charleston, just west of 215.
It's getting close to me.
I know, and that's
All
as
right.
close as it's getting. You want some great pizza?
Yes.
They have it. You like pasta?
Are you kidding
They
me?
got it. Calzones and strombolis?
You're making me starve.
How about desserts? Ices, cannolis.
Cannolis?
You betcha. You know what? If Charlie Callis can eat there and Joe Cortez can eat there, I think we can eat there too. What do you think?
I'm ready.
You betcha. The best way to cap off that meal is with some of them desserts, and I've tried them. Mark Rich's New York Pizza Pasta, 702-645-3337. They have specials. We can call for delivery the next time. We'll call ahead for the good fellas here next time. Mark Rich's New York Pasta Pizza, 702-645-3337.
Absolutely.
And who else? Who also helped us with tonight's show?
You know, we have some good friends down on South Las Vegas Boulevard. It's called Las Vegas Timeshare Resale.
Yes.
And you know that you and I, with a little bit of a timeshare background,
Just a little.
we know that it's almost impossible to get timeshare at 50 to 70% off.
Oh, no question. Unless you know somebody.
And yet we do. We know Guy and we know Rich and we know the whole group of people over there that can give us a place to go, a place to own for ourselves for a week or 2 weeks and go anywhere in the world at discount prices that are beyond wholesale.
Well, give me the number. I'm ready this time to write it down so I don't have to make you say it 10 times.
Okay, it's 702-408-2412. Or if you're calling long distance or from outside
Or
the
Germany
country,
or Australia?
absolutely, 1-877-866-1764. That's Las Vegas Timeshare Resale. Thank Guy, Larissa, and all our friends over there.
Absolutely. We want to thank that question that came in before, by the way, came in from a good bunch of guys who follow Vegas Unwrapped. JDG Trucking out in Australia. We want to thank you guys for checking in there. What I think John said, they took over a pub and they've got the show up on all their plasmas on the internet.
Because
so
it's really like tomorrow night or I don't
It's
know
like-
what
they're like 9 hours ahead
it's
of us,
ridiculous.
so.
It's Australian time.
all right. We're
I'm always on Australian time. No matter where I am.
does anybody
So it doesn't matter to me.
speak Australian?
I studied it once, but I never mastered it.
Beer, right? Isn't that,
Wannabe.
you're a wannabe? Okay, ask your question.
Kangaroo?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
A
Did
wallaby.
you know that
Wallaby.
there's a
The
lot
wallaby,
of
yeah.
American
Yeah,
organized
that's
crime
the
fans in
wallaby.
Australia?
I want to be wallaby.
Australia, the United Kingdom.
Yes, we do know
Isn't that
that.
where they put all the prisoners from the UK? over
Yes.
there?
Yes, originally.
My type of town.
See, there you go.
Yeah,
Well, Dennis actually brought up a great point. You know, the mob history as a whole in Europe and in Australia has a huge following.
Sure.
Huge. It's good when the mob museum opens up in town at the end of the year, and there's a mob exhibit at is it the Tropicana?
And there's a mob tour.
Mob
That's-
tour. I mean, Vegas. You know, as much as companies when we were trying to set this up didn't like the idea of us coming to a public location, even though they loved the idea for fear of, oh, we're supporting the mob. But yet, without the activity and Bugsy and all those guys, we wouldn't be sitting here right now.
We're supporting the history of this city.
That's all
and,
that it
and I
is.
think that's one of the things that we were talking about, which segues nicely into my closing of this, and that is we've talked about the mob and law enforcement of your era, Henry, and certainly Andrew's era. What's going on today in terms of organized crime? I mean, we did talk a little bit about the influx of, the gang mentality and all that, but is organized crime, the Casa Nostra, the mafia, whatever you want to call it, are they still in business today?
Yes.
Hello, country bumpkin. You
Ladies and gentlemen, I can't close the show any better than that. I'll see you later.
Good night.
And Henry Hill is one of my heroes. You know that.
Not anymore.
And, well, that's all right.
Henry is now taking over Vegas Unwrapped.
I asked that question
was
simply because there are so many people out there that, they know the history, but they don't know what's going on today.
Organized crime is alive and well. It's taken a big blow over the years with law enforcement and stuff like that. But, guys.
5 families still in New York?
Yeah, some guys' crews got decimated, but the crews are still there in some capacity. There'll always be either a panel running the family. What I mean by that is like 2 or 3 members to run the family. It pretty much gives them a little bit of wiggle room that one person won't be targeted as the boss. So law enforcement won't know where to put all their efforts.
No new headlines.
Yeah, and but basically, they have to make some changes to survive, and they're gonna make the changes necessary. I guess guys who've been robbing and stealing their whole lives together are gonna stick within their own, and it's gonna go back to that. But there's guys from different crews still active right now as we speak.
You mentioned last night we were talking that law enforcement concentrates on the top. They want to bring down as soon as somebody's named as the boss.
Well, yeah. Usually what happens is if they get in the wind that somebody's set to take over the family, something like that, they try to make a statement because they want the public to know that they're doing their job correctly and they have the information in hand.
Yeah.
They're showing their sophistication, and you don't want to be the guy who they're looking to put up as boss because you're pretty much on oxygen tank from there on in, and you'll be pinched within few months after.
What was Nicky, a week or so, or he just got?
I'll tell you what, they had an article on Nicky. It was a Sunday News that he was due to take over the family. He was arrested by Thursday. It's not a joke. It just shows you how quick that they're ready to respond to these things, you know. And basically that's their vigilance to try to stop organized crime activity. But as long as there's money in the street, you'll never stop it.
As we bring this to a closure, I would like to give those of us here on the remaining panel a moment to talk about whatever projects you're undertaking. I know you guys kind of touched on a little bit. Craig, I know you're working on a couple of pilots. Why don't you share with our audience what you got working?
Well, I shot this thing with us last night, and it's basically Dinner for Five, but the John Favreau, it's a takeoff of that with Henry, Andrew, Frank. Denny, myself, kind of from different perspectives. So instead of focusing on the, which was the Dinner for Five concept was the, guys in the entertainment business. But I want to get all of us together and put that. So we're piecing that together now. We shot it last night. It looks pretty good so far. So.
Maybe there's room for Phillips and Cash in there.
Well, not after Cash's last remark.
No,
I don't think so.
Wait. I think that was Country Bumpkin.
That was great.
I'm riding him for the rest of 2011.
Henry, I am through for 2011. He's gonna rip me until.
I can't
New
wait till
Year's
that's
Eve.
on podcast, John. That's his.
Yeah, that's all right though.
No,
because
that's
I love good. I like it, and I still love. I still love what you guys are doing and trying to educate the public as to what you guys have been through and what you guys want nobody else to go through.
Henry, you mentioned it earlier. You're doing some projects with the History Channel and stuff. Is that correct?
Actually, we got a TV series with Nick Pileggi and Scorsese, and another 6-hour wow thing called Redemption with HBO. Yeah, I mean, a couple other things. I just finished shooting. Locked Up Aboard. My old age are keeping me working. I don't believe it.
Are you working harder now than you did?
Honest to God. I thought I was in retirement.
Actually, that Locked Up Abroad show is really interesting because Henry actually does lock up abroad.
Oh.
And he keeps her as a sex slave for a couple of months, right? Seriously, right? No? All right, I gave away the premise.
Andrew, bail me out here.
I feel better now. I mean, I really feel better now. You know?
The country bumpkin can go this
That's
way.
right. Are you kidding me?
I was never locked up abroad. It's an international show, so I was locked up in this country a lot, so they were filming, all over the world.
International appeal now.
Whatever.
Andrew, for you, you have the book
Well,
out.
yeah, the book out.
That's
this came out earlier this month. Me and Dennis, we were happy about that. We got it out on the first of the month. And I'm working on a show with these gentlemen here. We did the filming yesterday, as Craig said, and it's going to be an interesting concept. We've been approached to do some other work, and me and Dennis are in negotiation now. So I'm looking forward to a very interesting year, and hopefully everything will work out.
Terrific.
I told you we got to stay close to
Denny's
this
the
guy.
guy. If
Are
it
you
wasn't
kidding
really,
me?
if it wasn't
I would
for
ask-
Denny, we would have never been able
Absolutely.
to meet. And
Absolutely.
for me and I met Henry first, and I met Denny, and so if it weren't for these guys,
I actually.
Come on, I want to go for a blackjack. I mean, me.
Go. Come on, go. What? I'm not stopping you.
Go ahead, if you want to
done.
go, we're good. We're
Yeah.
wrapping up.
Hey.
You can.
Henry Hill is now released
Henry.
is from
Yeah, we're
Mexico.
releasing
Henry
him
is
from
releasing
Vegas
him.
Unwrapped.
All right.
to the witness protection.
No. Thank you, Henry. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Henry. Thank
Dennis,
you very much.
I would ask what projects you're doing, but I think all these guys are pretty much
Pretty
spilled
much
the beans.
covered it up with the exception that the other one about the entertainment
Yes.
aspect
Right.
that we're getting into.
Yeah, we're working on a project with Denny, with the gentleman by the name of Don Hill. So we're working on that. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to just mention that this is the first time that this panel has come to this level. Take care, everybody. We thank you. This is the first time that this panel has come together in this stage. Last night, these gentlemen were all brought together at the library to appear for the first time. Tonight, though, we made a little bit of, I think, radio history. that it was the first time that Andrew and Frank and Henry have all been brought together on this kind of stage. And we're very fortunate that Vegas Unwrapped Cash, with Dennis's help, have the opportunity to bring that. Any closing remarks before I make mine?
Just one more thank you to Jay Rankin.
Yes.
Who wrote that
Who's
book.
got another great book out there, too,
Under the Neon Sky. And Jay introduced us, me to Denny, and then I got Denny to us, and the next thing you know, here we
Jed's a
uh,
millionaire.
and Vegas Unwrapped hopes to continue to, if not be on the periphery, certainly to be involved with you guys, and hopefully we'll be able to do something like this again real soon.
Absolutely.
I loved it. You guys are great.
Thank
you.
Thank you for bringing us.
It was a nerve-wracking.
It paid off, though.
But you know what, folks?
Not too bad for a country book.
But for our listeners out there, we hope that you enjoyed a different perspective with these individuals, because I'm sure many of you expected us talking about cases and killings and this, that, and the gory side of this. We wanted to bring a different side and literally unwrap these panelists in a different way that you would never see them. And hopefully we've done that. I was informed during the last break that Radio Zone 1 will be kind enough to replay this show during the week. So we're going to get a second airing of the show. And once we get that, then we'll certainly share that with our audience as well.
With
and
some
we thank
great
them for
video
that.
and video clips.
There'll be pictures, there'll be videos, everything will be up on our website, which is
www.vegasunwrapped.net, and it'll also be announced on radiozone1.com.
Absolutely.
So
and
that's
also
great.
look for it on Facebook and all of that stuff. For all of our guests tonight, for Dennis, for Craig, we thank you.
Thank you.
Dennis, again, we thank you. God bless you for putting us together. For Andrew, we thank you. Frank and Henry. The one thing, ladies and gentlemen, that I want to just share is the remorsefulness that I have felt from this panel has made me feel that it's okay to be who we are. And as we always close the show with Vegas Unwrapped, we got to be kind to each other. And for one very simple reason, because we're all we got. Have a great week, everybody. From Phillips and Cash on Vegas Unwrapped, we'll see you next week. Thank you for listening.
Bye-bye.
All right, wrap it up.
We're wrapped.
Seriously, I love the flow. I love the way it was going.